In October 2022, a 4-month-old bar-tailed Godwit known as B6 took off from Alaska. Over the next 11 days, this young bird stayed in the air without a single break. B6 flew 13,560 kilometers, crossing the entire Pacific Ocean to reach Tasmania. By the time it finally touched down in the white sands of Anson's Bay, it had completed the longest nonstop flight ever recorded. No food, no sleep, 0 rest stops. If you asked human engineers to build a mechanical drone of the exact same size to make this trip without refueling, it would run out of energy and drop into the ocean on day 1. B6 survived the journey, and it didn't do it by simply flapping its wings harder. Migrating birds operate as perfectly tuned biological machines, pushing the absolute limits of physical reality to stay airborne. The absolute hardest physical barrier to powered flight is weight. Every extra gram a flying object carries requires exponentially more energy to keep it aloft. Before a massive flight, birds undergo drastic biological shapeshifting. Organs like the stomach and intestines physically shrink in size, eliminating dead weight. This empty cavity then fills with massive, glowing fat reserves. The bird literally transforms its anatomy into a flying fuel tank. Carrying enough fuel to survive a transoceanic crossing is a strict mathematical problem. Cannibalizing their own digestive systems to maximize fat storage is how biology solves it. But an enormous fuel capacity is useless if a creature burns through it too quickly. Maximizing range means mastering fluid dynamics to drastically reduce drag. Researchers recently compared the aerodynamic efficiency of migrating birds, like this pied flycatcher, against other flying animals of the exact same size. To understand the difference, we can look at the baseline mechanics of mammalian flight using a bat. A flow dynamic simulation highlights the bat's architectural flaws. Protruding ears create severe parasite drag, while solid wings act like parachutes on the upstroke, generating negative lift. Conversely, a streamlined bird creates smooth green airflow, actively retracting wings on the upstroke for 0 negative lift. This incredibly high lift-to-drag ratio means the bird extracts exponentially more distance out of the exact same amount of energy. Traveling efficiently is one challenge, but 95% of migrating birds fly entirely alone, at night, crossing thousands of miles of featureless ocean without a single landmark. To figure out how they avoid getting lost, physicists studied the European robin, uncovering one of the strangest biological mechanisms on Earth, magnetic field sensing. Diving deep into the bird's eye, past cellular tissue down to the molecular level, we find a highly specialized protein called cryptochrome 4. When ambient light hits cryptochrome 4, the energy causes a pair of electrons to physically split apart. While separated, passing through the Earth's magnetic field directly alters the rotational axis, or spin, of these subatomic particles. The chemical reaction rate inside the bird's eye changes depending on the exact angle of that electron spin. The bird processes this biochemical data as an actual visual pattern, allowing it to literally see the direction of the magnetic pole. They are executing global navigation with centimeter-level precision by harnessing subatomic quantum mechanics inside their own retinas. Perfect navigation is meaningless if a bird flies straight into a Category 4 hurricane. Survival requires macroscopic routing algorithms to manage environmental risk. We can observe how populations calculate this risk by tracking the whimbrel, a shorebird with 2 distinct, evolutionarily stable migration paths. The Mackenzie Delta whimbrels fly a massive, non-stop arc far out over the open Atlantic Ocean. It demands brutal endurance, but completely bypasses the core of hurricane activity. Conversely, Hudson Bay whimbrels take a shorter, faster route, cutting directly through dangerous Hurricane Alley. Taking the shorter route guarantees high exposure to lethal weather. To compensate, these birds rely on the rocky shorelines of Caribbean islands as an emergency safety net to wait out the storms, though grounding carries its own heavy mortality risks. These 2 paths show how entire populations balance the physical limits of endurance against the statistical probability of encountering lethal weather. Radical fuel storage, perfect fluid dynamics, complex subatomic navigation, and predictive routing. When you stack these systems together, the impossible journey of a 4-month-old bird crossing the Pacific starts to make sense. Right now, humanity's best attempts to build highly sensitive quantum sensors require sterile, heavily shielded laboratories cooled to freezing cryogenic temperatures. A bird runs the exact same physics while soaring through a messy, warm, organic environment. Modern physicists are only just starting to reverse engineer this biology, hoping to borrow intellectual property from nature to improve our own navigation technologies. Considering the staggering amount of engineering running inside their heads, being called a bird brain shouldn't be an insult. It is the highest scientific compliment.